TCKay and welcome back to the Rambles channel. It is TCKay Tuesday and this week's topic is the horrible question, the most dreaded collective eye roll please. Where are you from? This simple question for everyone else is mental gymnastics for a TCKay. There's all kinds of factors that come into play, thinking about, the audience, what I want to do with my time, what you want to do with your time, and it's just, there's a lot of things that we have to go through in order to come up with an acceptable answer. So about this question, it's usually asked with three mindsets. The first one is just politeness. It's like asking you, hey, how have you been? Usually you just say like good, fine, and you leave it at that. And that's totally fine. Everyone does this. Being polite is not a bad thing. But as a TCKay, you have to realize that they're just being polite, so they don't need the mental gymnastics that you're going through. You can just give them a simple, blasé answer that needs no other explanation. The second mindset that people ask this question in is they're looking for commonalities. They want common topics for you to talk about. They just want to add into the conversation and keep it going and have something to talk about with you. They're not into the deep sharing of stories yet. It's very much a first opener of friendship. They are not sure they want to invest the time, but they want to see if you have anything in common so that they can talk too. Now the third mindset is they really want to know your story. This person isn't asking out of politeness, they're not asking to look for something to talk to you about. They're asking because they're genuinely curious about your journey, your situation. They genuinely want to know you, where you grew up, how you grew up, what your life was. So, okay, those are the three main mindsets that people ask this question in. Politeness, commonalities, and wanting to know your story. Those are the three big ones. There might be other reasons that people ask this question, but as for me, this is what I've really run into. It's really been just, they're being polite, they want to talk to you about something, or they really want to know. There are a few ways that TCKs react to this question. There are two that are kind of my favorite. So the first one is the declarative deer in the headlights. And this is when you have a moment of just sheer panic, followed by a very quick, decisive, declarative sentence. Instead of saying, oh, I'm from Connecticut, you say, I'm from Connecticut, period. And it kind of shuts down part of that conversation a little bit. And often it gives the impression that they don't want to be asked about it. And sometimes it's true, but also sometimes it's not. Another way that TCKs react to the question, where are you from, is the confused uptone. And the thing about the uptone is when you talk and end your sentences in the uptones, it suggests that you're asking the person that you're talking to a question. So instead of saying, I'm from Connecticut, you say, I'm from Connecticut. And occasionally this comes with eyebrow raising or even nodding. To me, the nodding is kind of a strange one because it's asking for an affirmation. And the affirmation is that you believe that I believe that I'm from this place. So the uptone can be a little problematic just because it gives the impression that you don't know what you're talking about, that you want someone else to confirm something, or that you're very unsure about yourself, and it can convey a lack of confidence. Of course, the other way that TCKs react is they don't react. So they'll say something that just kind of flies under the radar. So instead of saying where they're from, they'll say where they currently live, or where their parents are, or a vacation home that they've had for a while. And they know enough about the area that they could answer a couple questions or whatever, but mostly they just kind of want to move on. So those are the three reactions that a TCKay also has. And the third one kind of comes out of a very skillful development of slurring the truth. It's kind of one of those weird skills that we get just because sometimes we don't want to be asked, we don't want to share our story with everyone, and it can get kind of complicated. So yeah, those are the three basic ways that a TCKay responds to the question, where are you from? So now you kind of know the typical reactions of TCKs to this question. I'm going to tell you my personal process with this. First, of course, I usually go through the moment of panic. Sometimes it's visible, sometimes it's not. But in this moment, I have to stop myself and think, how much time do we have? How much do you care, and how much do I care to tell you? So, how much do you care? Not so much do you care, do you not care, but do you want to know the answer? Do you want a quick, polite answer and just move on? If you want to know the answer, my next question to myself is, do I want to share the real answer? And it can be a moment of vulnerability for a TCK to open up and share that they're not really from anywhere. Sometimes they'll give the answer, I moved around a lot, or I grew up there, but they won't give you your whole story. And sometimes that's just another wall or a level of politeness so that you then have to ask about their story. So once I've assessed whether you want to know or don't know, I then ask whether or not I want to share the story. If I do, then I will give you one of those sneak preview kind of teaser answers. And if I don't, then I will give you just kind of a fly under the radar answer that you may or may not pick up on. That's my process for answering this question, as well as my observations of other TCKs answering this question. So now that you've learned a little bit more about this question, there are so many other topics that I cover in my videos, so make sure that you subscribe to my channel and go ahead and like and comment on this video if you wish. And don't forget, you can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook at TCKay Rambles, as well as check out my blog that I post to every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, tckramblesblog.wordpress.com. Have a great Tuesday. I love y'all.